welcome to the interview series. Today we are in conversation with Mr. N. Ramachandran. Mr. Ramachandran is a 1978 batch IPS officer. He is retired as a DGP in Meghalaya. Sir, thank you for joining us in the interview series. Sir, our first question would be we often talk about the police reforms. We have the Menon and Malamat committee reports also. How important do you think is police reforms for the country, for the police also, and for improving the productivity and in general for the police?
The Indian police was conceived during the British times. In fact, even today, we are governed by the 1861 Indian Police Act. Now, the British set up a police force in the country for controlling, the local population, almost suppressing the police, local population, and generally maintaining law and order and controlling crime, etc. But then the police was supposed to report to the rulers, and so that culture, which was established by the British, has unfortunately continued in many ways. We have made a lot of progress after independence, but in many ways, the policing culture that existed in the pre-independence era continues. So there are, at the same time, as I was mentioning, a lot of improvements have taken place as far as training is concerned. Policemen's living conditions have improved. And in many states, we have brilliant police officers who are bringing about change, who are bringing about reform in their own ways. But unfortunately, these reform efforts by individual officers have remained as islands of excellence in different parts of the country. So you will find in, let's say, in a state like Karnataka, excellent public services are being rendered. Suppose you apply for a passport, you get everything in a very transparent style, and the report on the passport application is received within hours. But there are states which will take 3 months for a passport verification to complete, and there are states where there is huge levels of corruption. And these, problems of corruption and a certain level of opacity in the functioning, etc., has led to serious problems. Then the other thing is about the behavior of the police towards the citizens. Now, as I was mentioning, this culture of law and order and keeping enforcing discipline, enforcing control over the population, etc. That is a colonial culture. That culture has to change. It has to become a service oriented. So the Indian police should transition from a police force to a police service. And there are several areas that needs improvement. So that is why in the 1970s, Government of India set up something called the National Police Commission. And this National Police Commission submitted a series of reports. 8 reports were submitted by the National Police Commission. And these reports even today hold good. The recommendations made by this National Police Commission is in the shape of these 8 reports. They hold good even today. But successive governments have not taken any interest in implementing those reforms. And one of the major issues that we have is political and extraneous influence in day-to-day operations of the police. While there are many police officers who will take a stand, principled stance that we will not be affected by extraneous political considerations, etc. There are unfortunately a number of police officers who will also cave in, who will allow themselves to be dictated by whether it is political masters or any other forces. And so what happens is many of the decisions of the police become unjust or unjustifiable in many ways, and it can ultimately impact the delivery of justice, access to justice, etc. So that is why it is very important that reforms are brought about and police gets a certain level of operational independence, and there is no interference in things like posting and transfers of thanedars or constables or sub-inspectors, etc. Because there is so much of interference, they also tend to listen to political masters, and there is nothing wrong in listening to political masters because politicians, after all, are the elected representatives of the people. As long as they confine themselves to the larger interests of the community. But instead of that, many politicians will get very questionable kind of things done through some police officers who are also, in cahoots with them. That is why it is very important that the police comes out of the clutches of illegal interferences. That is why the Supreme Court of India passed an order in 2006. Although the National Police Commission reports were submitted in the early 80s, for several years, decades, no action was taken by any governments. And unfortunately, every political party in this country is responsible for this. It's not only this party or that party. Every political party in the country has shown their interest in continuing to exercise control over the police. Control means, illegitimate control. Legal control, it is the job of the elected representatives to provide the policy and even supervise and have an oversight mechanism. But beyond that, when they indulge in illegal interferences, that is what is not good for the community as such. And about Malimat committee, of course, it was a very major, report that has come. And Malimat committee is more about, of course, police is one major aspect of the criminal justice system, but the larger criminal justice system is discussed. In fact, it is not only the police that needs reform, even the prison system, for example, is crying for reform. So there have been, like for example, it is presumed that about 75 to 80% of the people who are in the prisons in India, about 18 lakh people are in the prisons of India in various states.
Under trials.
75 to 80% are under trials, and many of them may be languishing for a very long period. So there are many areas in the criminal justice system that is crying for reform.
All right, thank you, sir. So, next, you have a think tank called Indian Police Foundation. You are the founder and you are also the president. Can you just throw some light on the activities that you have done through the think tank?
So, what we try to do in the Indian Police Foundation is to bring citizens and the police together. Citizens are the largest stakeholders as far as policing is concerned. Policemen are there, citizens are there, and even the political, activists, etc. But citizens are the largest, stakeholders. So we try to bring citizens and stakeholders and the police together in various kinds of discussions about how things can be improved as far as policing is concerned. So we also organize a number of events in which For example, I will tell you, we have been during the last few years holding, stakeholder consultations on safety of women and safety of children in every state in the country. So we have covered about half the number of states in the country, which we bring citizen representatives, that means civil society members, people from the NGOs, activists, and even people who have lived experiences. We bring all of them together, along with the police officers, people from government departments, and we all sit together and try to identify what are the issues as far as women's safety is concerned, because these issues differ from state to state. And even in large states like Uttar Pradesh, for example, the issues in Western UP would be totally different from the issues in Eastern UP.
Yes.
Because our country is very large and even culturally they are very different. The issues are also very different. So we found even to several states, we have already covered, as I said, I think 12 or 13 states we have covered. And the issues we found that they are different in every state. So we are trying to identify and document those issues in every state. And and then we also ask the police what they are doing in that particular state to improve the security, to improve the ways and means of providing better service delivery to the victims, especially when they are approaching the police station for registration of the case, how they are dealt with, how they are they have to go through a number of other formalities which can very often be very traumatic for the victim. So those are things which the policemen need to be sensitized about. So we try and sensitize the police officers in those programs, and that word passes down, trickles down hopefully. And so this has been a major stakeholder consultation has been a major activity of the Indian Police Foundation. So like this, we try to bring the police and the citizen stakeholders together. That's the large piece that we have. But then we also hold specific programs, a number of programs we hold simultaneously, in which we try to discuss the various issues connected with different aspects of policing, and try and generate ideas about how they can be dealt with.
Okay. Yeah. So, how do you think you can collaborate with Public Affairs Center to, work better in these areas and help us use your expertise to, expand in different areas?
So, Public Affairs Center is an established institution of repute and a highly respected institution. So, in fact, we have been following a number of activities of the Public Affairs Center. Things like the PAC had brought out a survey of Karnataka police, for example. That was about 10 years back. It was about, in fact, about 15 years back.
Yeah.
PAC had brought out so we have been looking at all those work that has been done by PAC, and we believe that if we collaborated with the PAC, there could be a lot of mutual benefits. Like we can bring in police officers from different parts of the country who are really interested, progressive police officers who are really interested in improving the systems. And PAC has got tremendous experience as well as the expertise in research, for example, research capacities well established both in terms of research and programmatic activities. PAC has the experience. So we are looking to collaborate with PAC and PAF on at least three areas. We just had a conversation. So one of the areas is on this continuing with our stakeholder consultations on women's safety, etc., which we had to stop halfway because of the COVID pandemic. But now we are ready to restart it so that we can uh, resume, and it can be resumed with the active collaboration with PAC or PAF. That is number one. Number two is that last year, in the year 2021, the Police Foundation had started a citizen satisfaction survey on the quality of policing in the country. And we had developed a certain level of, you know, we had developed indices, composite indices for not really ranking. Last year we did not do deliberately because of certain problems, but we were ready. We had already brought out the composite indices. Now the purpose now is that it is possible that PAF and IPF can come together in conducting an all India survey. Every year it can be an annual longitudinal survey, so that every year we can publish this. This can become, it has the potential to become a signature kind of, product of this collaboration, because PAF has considerable experience again in conducting surveys, and we would like to collaborate with the PAF and bring out those surveys in a more refined and purposeful manner. So that is another area that we are looking at.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
so much.